Welcome back. Time is short. Let's spend some with the muse. Welcome back. Today, we're going to take a look at a speculative fiction anthology accepting submissions between November 1st and January 31st. And we'll go over an example story plot that fits the call. Before we get started, I wanted to share with you this wonderful award. The WSFA Small Press Award is given by the Washington Science Fiction Association for short works of imaginative literature, such as science fiction, horror, or fantasy. The award is given to works that were first published in English in the previous year and that are under 20,000 words long. The winner of the 2024 WSFA Award for Best Short Fiction, published by a small press, is A Bowl of Soup on the 87th Floor by Kai Holmwood in Dreamforge Magazine, issue 10, March 2023, and edited by yours truly. For Kai Holmwood, this award was especially meaningful, as A Bowl of Soup on the 87th Floor was also her first published story. In her acceptance speech, Kai said, "Sometimes it feels like the world is doing its best to insist that things are hopeless, and that the future is inevitably bleak and dark. While I'll never claim there are easy solutions, I believe any chance for a better future depends on hope. Not only hope for the big picture, but also hope that even our small actions can matter. I'm honored beyond measure that my story about a bowl of soup making a tangible difference in a solar punk future won this award. Not only because I'm personally delighted, and of course I am, but because it means that vision of hope resonated with others. Thank you to the brilliant Dreamforge for giving my first published story the perfect home and for filling each issue with stories that offer glimpses of light. Here's to working together to create a future where even a simple bowl of soup can change the world." Congratulations, Kai. Now, let's get back to the new Triangulations Anthology that you want to submit a short story to. At our Dreamforge Dreamcaster meeting at the beginning of November, our guest was Jessica Carver, editor of Parsec Ink's 2025 Triangulation Anthology, Dark Hearts. This is the 22nd iteration of the anthology, and it's accepting stories up to 5,000 words, with a sweet spot of 3,000. Dark Hearts is a woman-centered theme for which anyone can submit stories. The anthology will feature speculative stories and poems about women who are anti-heroes. Stories should feature shady ladies, women and female-presenting characters breaking the rules, defying social norms, and getting up to no good. Dark Hearts accepts science fiction, fantasy, and horror, and the editors enjoy intelligent blends of all three. The editors love supportive female friendships, women with a mastery of weapons or powers, women in STEM or in disguise, cyborgs, hackers, heists, underdogs, romance. Sex and violence and even swearing are fine, but should be executed thoughtfully. Eligibility. All writers, including those who are known or related to the editorial staff, may submit to Triangulation. New as well as established authors are welcome to submit. You can learn more at the link in the description. And check out our Dreamcaster membership in the links below too. Dreamcaster Patreon supporters get to be in the live Zoom call with editors, authors, and artists each month. Now, we reviewed the following story structure and plot outline with Triangulations editor Jessica Carver during our Dreamcaster meeting, and she thought it was pretty spot on and would result in a story she'd want to read. So let's get started. We'll start with the story structure we use here at Dreamforge. It's a 9-element structure. It starts with orientation, which simply means pulling the curtains apart, letting us see what's on the stage. Character flaw is number 2, and that means what's the character's heart's desire or their weakness or their problem that's going to drive the action of this story. Then there's number 3, the threshold event. That means something happens that signals to the reader, hey, the story has begun. We're past introductions. Then the narrative hook, which may follow closely on the heels of the threshold event, and that simply means whatever that event is, it has now dug its claws into our protagonist. It's involved them personally, and they're often running into the story narrative. Then we have a try-fail cycle. 3 obstacles generally. Obstacle 1 is a basic problem that the character must overcome that deals with the threshold event in the narrative hook. It shouldn't be too hard for them to try to solve it, but in solving it, they actually create a bigger problem, and the situation gets worse. Obstacle 2 simply mounts that tension. Now they have that bigger problem that they've created, and they think they know how to solve that one too, so they go about taking some actions that seem to, resolve or are close to resolving Obstacle 2. Obstacle 3, you guessed it, things have just gotten worse. What they've done in Obstacle 2 has not solved the problem and probably contributed, once again, to making the problem even bigger. Obstacle 3 develops into the climax. And what that means is that the problem is so severe that it becomes a matter of life and death to the protagonist. Now, that may mean their physical life and death. It may mean their spiritual death. It may mean the death of their identity. It's essentially one of the most difficult problems that they will have in their lives, and it's going to change them if they solve it and survive it. Once the climax resolves, we have the denouement, which is like the French word for the falling action of the story. And that just means that now we're going to wrap up plot elements. We're going to, bring the tension down and resolve things, and often cycle around to the beginning of the story. So we have a reflection, some kind of reflection back on the beginning of the story that makes us aware that the cycle has been completed. Now, knowing that, here's the story structure I put together using this template. It's certainly not the only way to tell a story or a guaranteed way to sell a story. It's just a disciplined pattern that helps you stay on track and can produce good results. The story we came up with is unaccountable. Let's talk about that orientation. The opening takes place in a high-tech cybernetics laboratory on the cutting edge of human-machine interface development. Two women are reviewing work reports and analytical charts on the progress of their latest project. Their banter hints at more than friendship, revealing the beginnings of a romantic relationship. This future setting is one in which many people use brain-to-network cybernetic implants as a part of their daily lives, including these two women. Our next thing to deal with is our character and their flaw. Dr. Maya Chen runs a cybernetics laboratory in a research facility. Her work centers on developing neural interface technology. In the past, her research was appropriated by a previous employer, Novatech, a large corporation that exploited her findings. Now independent, Maya is known as a brilliant yet isolated researcher who distances herself from others while advancing human-machine integration. Maya's intelligence is coupled with moral ambiguity and an obsession with progress regardless of the consequences. The betrayal by Novatech has led her to adopt a pragmatic approach that overlooks ethical considerations. This flaw is evident in how she treats test subjects as objects and accepts human suffering as a permissible cost for scientific breakthroughs. Dr. Sarah Martinez, a compassionate neurosurgeon, has recently joined Maya's team as a research partner. Their collaboration shows promise professionally, and a budding romantic relationship begins to affect Maya personally, as Sarah's empathy starts to influence her. Hope you're enjoying this so far. If you are, click the subscribe button down below. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just a signal to YouTube's algorithm that this video is worth watching and other people may want to join us in the channel. So hit subscribe, hit like, give us a comment. It all helps. So next is our threshold event. Maya's team learns of an impending cyber attack targeting users of neural implants. Regular firewalls and precautions are failing. Children with developmental difficulties prove especially vulnerable as the hack is affecting their cognitive and emotional development. This is the vulnerable system through which the hack is making inroads into the population as a whole. The narrative hook. Remember, this is where we involve the protagonist directly. Maya realizes she has the means to prevent the cyber attack with a security patch she developed while at Novatech, but she decides not to deploy it. She views the situation as a unique opportunity to collect real-time data on neural interface vulnerabilities. This decision creates a conflict, especially when Sarah becomes aware of the withheld patch and the potential risk to thousands of others, especially the affected children. Okay. Now, In that narrative hook, that's the definitive point where Maya acts as an anti-hero. Remember, that's the theme of this anthology, is shady ladies or women as anti-heroes. Now, what does that mean to be an anti-hero? Well, it can mean many things. There's no one right answer. But for me, especially in this example, what we're doing is we're taking the protagonist, and in the place where they would usually see a call to action to move forward and solve a problem, she's turning her back on it. And we've given her a big one. We've given her, hey, I realize that there's a hack where children are being hurt. Should I jump in there and use my knowledge to solve this problem? For Maya, she says, no, I need to study this because something's up here, and the knowledge is more important than actually blocking this right now. That's, in my mind, what makes her the anti-hero at this point. Now, next in the story, we have obstacles. That's the try-fail cycle, where the protagonist is supposed to go through a series of problems, each of which escalates in difficulty until we reach the climax. Obstacle 1. Initial effects of the cyber attack appear, first affecting children, then causing mild seizures among adults and system failures among implant users. Sarah confronts Maya about not releasing the security patch, leading to their first major disagreement. Maya must justify her decision. Maya is sure that this attack is coming from Novatech, or someone who used to work at Novatech. Remember, they're the people who stole her ideas and probably fired her. She is sure of it. She doesn't know what the goal is, but finding out is more important than stopping the harm that's being done. While their personal relationship starts to decline, Maya is forced to choose between her objectives of research and revenge and her developing feelings for Sarah. Obstacle 2. As the situation worsens, the attack penetrates the defenses of the lab and even affects Sarah's cybernetic implants, causing her to have seizures and be terribly afraid. Now we see that Maya has updated her own cyber interface, protecting herself, but choosing not even to protect Sarah. Instead of blocking the attack, Maya chooses to study Sarah's reactions, pleading with her to endure the attack while Maya studies it. As an experienced neurosurgeon, Sarah can give her the best data, and Sarah agrees. Obstacle 3. The cyber attack continues to intensify, causing widespread panic and harm. Maya is able to reverse the attack in Sarah and keep her safe. Sarah thinks that Maya will then use this knowledge she has gained to save everyone, especially the children, but once again, Maya chooses not to take that course of action. She has not yet proven her suspicion that Novatech, the company that once took advantage of her, is behind all this, and that she certainly wants to do. She doesn't necessarily think that Novatech meant to cause all this harm, but their efforts to steal competitor secrets got out of hand, and now they must pay. The climax. The cyber attack reaches a crucial point, causing severe harm to implant users and widespread panic. Sarah, disillusioned by Maya's refusal to release the security patch, decides to act independently. She attempts to access and deploy the patch herself to save the affected individuals, especially the children. Maya confronts Sarah, leading to a tense standoff where Maya must choose between continuing her quest to expose and punish Novatech or prioritizing the welfare of innocent lives. Realizing at last the human cost of her actions, Maya decides to update the security patch with all she has learned and release it. The deployment stops the cyber attack, mitigating further harm, but the trust between Maya and Sarah is irreparably damaged due to Maya's earlier decisions. The Denouement. After the crisis is resolved, Sarah leaves the research facility, unable to reconcile with Maya's ethical compromises, despite unresolved feelings. Maya remains in her lab, now fully aware of the consequences of her obsession with revenge and scientific progress at any cost. She has developed a new security system from the data collected during the attack, and she's getting widespread acclaim for her work. But this achievement comes at the expense of her relationship with Sarah and her moral integrity. Maya reflects on her actions, questioning whether her ends justified the means, and recognizes that her isolation is now a result of her own choices rather than past betrayals. That's our story. That's our story prompt and outline. Can you write it? Dreamforge makes no copyright claim on these ideas. If you use them, maybe change up some names and incidents to make it your own. I may be writing this one myself, so let's see who does the better job. Until next time, keep writing. And remember, this is an open anthology call until January 31st, so check out those links in the description And remember, while you're down there, to subscribe, like, and comment on our video. We hope to be back with you soon. Thank you all for watching.